Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Kristin Kolodge, Executive Director of Driver Interaction at Human Machine Interface Research at J.D. Power. That's a mouthful. Thanks for joining us, Kristin.
Good morning, Fred.
Well, you're out with the 2019 U.S. Tech Experience Index study, and there's some interesting takeaways, some award winners, and there's a headline here that says customer demand for safety technology threatened by overbearing alerts, according to what you found. So give us the overview here.
Absolutely. So we're seeing the feedback from consumers, and this is with 2019 model year vehicles, so very recent technology, that they are finding a high degree of annoyance and these safety technologies being bothersome, so much so that they are turning off the technology that is providing the safety benefits at a high rate. And one of the prime offenders following into this situation is the lane keeping and lane centering technology. So that technology that's trying to keep you, frankly, within your lane. And we're seeing those levels of constant alerts just being to the degree that consumers are not appreciating what it's doing for them.
And a lot of them are turning that technology off?
Right. We're seeing as high as 30% of owners are saying that they're temporarily turning off their lane keeping and lane departure system. And over a quarter.
It varies widely by brand?
It really does, absolutely. So we're seeing that high degree of turning it off. So anywhere from 11% for one brand all the way up to over almost 44% for another brand. So I mean, high degree of variation. So we see some brands are definitely more on the mark with how it's communicating and how it's performing for consumers versus other brands.
Well, give us, if you can, some examples. What are the differences? What makes it tolerable or intolerable?
Some of it is the type of alert itself. And, you know, there are manufacturers that have alerts that are audible, alerts that are visual. Some manufacturers have alerts that are kind of a vibration, whether it be in the steering wheel or the seat. So that difference in how it's communicating to the driver certainly has one aspect. There's an issue that consumers have with, you know, notifying everyone in the vehicle, frankly, that you've left your lane. So while you're driving by yourself, that may be okay, having that type of audible alert, but when you are in a car full of others, it sometimes can be a bit embarrassing, frankly. The other difference that we're seeing is just coming down to the performance of the system itself. So in some situations, there's a high degree of sensitivity of performance of the lane keeping system where it seems, you know, it has the perception to the consumer that it's going off all the time, even though they feel like they're in their lane. So that type of performance sensitivity is what gets to be annoying for consumers as well.
Let's name some names if we can here. Which company or companies seem to be doing it right?
Well, unfortunately, we don't really want to provide names out in the public domain. So I hope you can appreciate that we're just, you know, working with the industry and working to help resolve that, but didn't really want to name names out in the public.
But there are some award winners, right, in this study that you do.
Absolutely. I mean, so, you know, while we've just been focused on this safety technology, the Tech Experience Index study covers technology across the entire vehicle. So even your infotainment system, your instrument cluster, those types of technologies as well. And so we do have several award winners, and we have named those across various segments. So we have 6 different award winners. So we have the Kia Stinger was one award winner, and they actually were an award recipient for the second year in a row, and actually had the highest performance in our study for the second year in a row. So that was one product that performed extremely well. Other award winners were the Kia Forte, Hyundai Kona. We also had the Porsche Cayenne, Chevrolet Blazer, and Ford Expedition, and also the Toyota CHR.
And as you said, in addition to these safety features, you look at the entertainment systems.
We do, yes. So we're looking at your infotainment system, so that's everything, and including your factory installed navigation if you have it, your smartphone mirroring, so you like your Apple CarPlay or your Android Auto system if you have it as well.
And one of the things that you're reporting on is that the prevalence of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto could threaten the profits from installed navigation systems from the manufacturers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are quickly becoming must-haves for consumers. So we're seeing this in a couple different ways. One is the amount of owners that actually have that technology and the rate of increase on a year-over-year basis. So, back in 2016, it was just about 1 in 5 vehicles had that technology, and now Apple CarPlay, for instance, is has 60% of owners that have that technology. So it's a very fast adoption rate. But the second is the level of satisfaction that consumers have when using their Apple CarPlay or their Android Auto mirroring systems. And we're seeing a high degree of satisfaction, and many of those systems are duplicating technology that is actually in the infotainment system itself as delivered by the manufacturer. So you can think of voice recognition, you can think of your navigation system, some of the different apps that are on your smartphone mirroring system. So those are where we're seeing a higher degree of satisfaction in comparison to the built-in technology. And even when we ask consumers outright which system they prefer, if they actually do have that level of duplication in their vehicle, we are seeing the preference for the smartphone mirroring execution.
Which would mean that in the future, perhaps they'll opt not to get the built-in systems that duplicate what's on their smartphones.
Exactly. They're going to lean towards the preference of the system that's working best for them, and really aren't going to have the value for having both, nor the built-in system. So absolutely, this is definitely a red flag for us to pay attention to, of what's working well and what is not being appreciated from a duplicated technology perspective.
Now, you talked a bit about the problems with some of the safety technologies, the lane departure warnings, et cetera. But are we seeing more and more of this technology in cars at every level that are available to consumers?
We are actually, we're seeing lane departure itself is one of the fastest growing year over year technologies from owners having that on their vehicle this year versus the 2018 model year. So we're seeing many more safety techs being offered across all levels. So that means premium as well as mass market vehicles are getting this technology. And I think it's important for me to make sure that your audience understands that while I was just talking about lane keeping and centering and some of the issues there are some safety technologies that are resonating very positively for consumers. So those would be blind spot warning, the backup camera. Both of those technologies we have seen consistently high level of satisfaction, and we're seeing that again in our study results this year, as well as a high desire to want those technologies again. So it is not all doom and gloom for safety technologies. There are some bright spots there, but I think this is where it's important for us to understand what are the elements and factors that are resonating well with consumers, and then what is the factors that are being annoying or bothersome, and quickly make improvements.
Now, are things like automatic emergency braking a separate category?
Automatic emergency braking would be considered in the safety tech, and we're seeing a high degree of consumers that are saying that it's startling or unusual behavior for them. So in some ways, this is part of the learning curve for consumers because it's their very first opportunity to experience that type of technology. Frankly, approximately 90% of owners have never experienced automatic emergency braking before this vehicle that they just had purchased in 2019. So it's their first experience, and it's hard to describe and very difficult for dealers to demonstrate that type of technology. So it's really one of those you're experiencing it for the first time in the wild. And as it's doing its job, it can be a very abrupt stopping maneuver because it is in that emergency type of situation. So as such, in many cases, you're getting that startling reaction, trying to figure out what just happened and piece it all together. In many ways, realizing that it just saved you from an accident, but certainly that learning process is something that is an opportunity for us going forward. How can we better explain and communicate to these owners what that technology, how it's going to perform to better prepare them for that first experience?
Perhaps the need for more education or training at dealerships for consumers who are buying the vehicles?
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing that dealer is really a very strategic partner. I mean, we can see consistently when dealers explain or demonstrate technology that the consumers have a higher satisfaction with that technology as a result. And this is really pretty universal across every technology. But even more important for these safety technologies to be explained and demonstrated, just because there isn't anything else out there in the consumer's life like it. And the highest propensity is that these consumers have never experienced it before. So it's really, it just sets up the criticality of this explanation at that first, when you're handing over the keys to this new vehicle, to be able to make sure that we're getting, those new owners off on the right foot with this technology. And then, not to be cliche, but even recognizing how important it is that they have a very positive first experience with these safety technologies, because these are the technologies that are going to be the building blocks for automated driving down the road. So we want to make sure that they have a positive experience with it so that it builds up their trust and their interest level in fully automated vehicles as they go.
Terrific. Is there a place people can go to for more information on this study?
Absolutely. So we have a press release out on jdpower.com. You can also look me up as well, and I'd be happy to talk in more detail about the study.
Kristin Kolodge, thank you for taking the time with us.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Very much appreciate your time.
Now this. How many companies out there have continued to innovate when it comes to building a better radio? I'm Fred Fishkin, host of Techstination, and I'm here to tell you about the new CC Skywave SSB radio from the wonderful people at C. Crane. Bob and his crew really love radio, and it shows in this new compact model that is packed with features. Beyond great AM and FM reception and sound, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world, listen to ham radio operators, aviation, and more. It's the radio you'll turn to every day, and in emergencies. It will run for nearly 3 days on just 2 AA batteries. Pair the sleep timer with the new Soft Speaker 3, and you've got the perfect radio for your nightstand. Of course, it can wake you up too. Click on C. Crane at Techstination.com and put in the code Techstination for a free flashlight with your order. They love radio, and you'll love C. Crane.